Good morning, everybody. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners May 8th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know the stars look like they're falling off that flag. Isn't that one that's peeling off?
It's Puerto Rico. It's not really on
Are you guys done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Our meeting's over. Yours can begin now.
Okay, good. Alrighty. The county board minutes from May 1st, 2018. Anybody have any comments, changes?
Just one little one. On page 8, under the foster care appreciation banquet, it actually hadn't occurred yet. So, number 6, under advisory committee, advisory board updates, was.
That you attended the bank on.
Yep.
Banquet on April 26th.
Yep. Derek said that we were
attending.
We're attending, so it would just be in the same way with Potter under 8. Attended the, I think you're planning to attend, correct? It was just.
Well, when was the foster care banquet?
It was the 26th?
Oh, okay.
Yep. No, because that would have been the May 1st meeting. It was, let me tell you exactly when it was. It was the 3rd.
We attended.
It was May 3rd. The foster banquet was May 3rd.
Yep.
Yep.
Mike, what about the highway 55?
But that, you did attend on the 26th. It's just a little typo.
All right.
All right.
So for clarity, Mr. Chair, the date on the item 6 should be May 3rd.
But it hadn't occurred yet, so I would just maybe cross it off.
Okay.
Well, look at that.
Unless-
We'll be attending.
Or will be.
We'll be attending, yeah.
Understood. Then number 8 is fine, or is there any correction on that one?
No, that's
Correct?
fine.
Okay.
Did
you make a
motion?
I'll make a motion with that change to approve minutes.
Second that.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Newsom, second by Commissioner Burrell. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of agenda. Does anybody have anything to add?
Mr. Chair, you had something you were going to add on today?
Yeah, I'd like to add on, right at, well, I'm also just do it under B3 regarding credit card processing.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with your addition of B3 for credit card discussion.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Newsom. Any other discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to remove? Just want to call everybody's attention to the closed session for next Tuesday.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Newsom. Any other discussion regarding consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Mr. Greg Picard, Veteran Service Officer.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
Okay, well, it's been a quick year since I was up here last time asking for the same thing. So this is out-of-state travel again for the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, part of that continuing education requirement that we have to stay accredited. It's in Reno this year, the first week of June. So it'll be a week travel, probably Saturday through Saturday.
You can't get them to do it in the middle of the winter to go to Reno? I mean, go to Reno in June?
The middle of winter in Reno really doesn't change much.
No, but it's a
Just here,
little warm.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I was in Reno at the end of March, and it was snowing and cold.
Oh,
and
really?
I think it was colder there than it was here, so,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, so, and all the costs are completely covered by that CBSO grant we get from the state, so there's no impact to the county other than just my salary and the time that I'm away for that week. And I have coordinated with the state guys, the state BSOs, Luke and those guys, and they're gonna try to maybe cover a day or two down here, so we're not completely without a VSO for that time period.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve for out-of-state travel for Mr. Picard.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Batch, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions?
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you're
Yeah,
most
thank
welcome.
you. Yeah.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Have a good time in Reno.
Enjoy.
Well, yeah, it'll be work, it's not vacation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Bob Hevela, you got lots of good news for us today.
I think I do have some good news for you. Bruce Kimmel's not going to be here. He sent the better person, Chris Mickelson.
That's right.
The
good news.
Chris has been involved with our whole bond issue this whole time. But yesterday, they took the bids, and Chris is ready to go over those bids with you.
Thank you, Board Chair and Commissioners. Again, I am Chris Mickelson with Ehlers & Associates. We are the county's municipal advisory firm. As Bob said, these past couple of months, we have assisted the county through the debt issuance process for the Series 2018A General Obligation Capital Improvement Plan bonds. And so before you should be our pre-sale report, our sale day report. I see you all have it open. So to move to the inside first page here, you can see that the par amount for the bonds was reduced from the 47.89 par amount down to 45.46 million. And that's a function of receiving what's referred to as a premium bid. So the winning bidder bid a purchase price for the bonds that's above par or above 100. And the reason why they would do that is we're still in a low interest rate environment. And so by using a premium pricing structure, the underwriter is able to use coupons on the bond that are actually higher than what the bonds would yield to the investor. And so when we flip through the bid tab, eventually to the bid tab, you'll see some 3s and 4s and even 5% coupons. The investor won't be yielding that type of interest rate. That's really just a function of those bonds being priced above par and then ultimately, yielding that lower interest rate. So by taking the reoffering premium of just over $2.5 million, we're able to reduce the bond size by that premium amount. And so that's the reason for this reduction in par amount. It still is yielding the same project construction fund proceeds as the revised pre-sale report showed this past month. As a part of this sale, the county received an updated rating from Standard & Poor's Global Rating Service. You can see that the AA rating, the AA plus rating was affirmed from S&P, and we can touch on that at the end of this sale day report. That's included in that rating report is included in this packet. You can see that 13 bids were received as a part of this sale, and that's something that anytime we receive more than maybe 6 or 7, we consider that a very good result. The only time I've seen as many as 13 was actually Wright County sale last year, received 14 bids. So there's two tremendous sale results there. The low bidder for this sale was Morgan Stanley out of New York, and the low bid was just under 3.1%. And if you recall from the pre-sale estimates, we estimated at 3.25%, and that was without any sort of padding or any sort of cushion. We typically will put maybe 25 basis points of cushion just in case the market ticks up a little bit between the pre-sale and the sale day. But we didn't do that with this being that it's such a large issue. And even without cushion, this came in at 15 basis points better than the pre-sale estimate. The really remarkable thing with the sale results is 13 bids received, which is, again, a tremendous result, receiving 13 bids, and they were all within about 10 basis points. So that shows incredibly competitive bidding on the part of all 13 underwriters that pursued purchasing these bonds. So again, the principal amount was reduced from the pre-sale amount of $47.89 million down to the $45.465 par amount. Underwriter took about $200,000 in discount. That's the compensation to the underwriter for making this market. Reoffering premium just under $2.5 million. And once the bonds were adjusted relative to this premium, the final TIC, true interest cost, ended up being just over 3.11%. Cost of issuance would be Eller's fee, as well as Standard & Poor and Kennedy & Graven bond counsel at just under $130,000. And the yield to the investor is between 1.95 and 3.5%. The total net principal and interest for this is just over $66.5 million. Closing date for this is June 7th. That is the date that the county will receive the proceeds. And so the action before the Board of Commissioners would be to adopt the resolution awarding the sale of the $45.465 million general obligation CIP bonds. My understanding is a form of resolution is in front of you this morning. Kennedy & Graven will update that resolution with the final numbers following this meeting. So you would adopt the form of resolution that's included in your packets this morning. To go to the next page of the sale day report, this is what we call the bid tabulation, and this shows all of the bids, all 13 bids that were received for this sale. You can see Morgan Stanley is the winning bidder in this case. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you look at the maturity schedule, you can see the couponing ranges anywhere from 3 on the low end in about 2030 to 5 on the high end, and those are the nearer term maturities. But those nearer term maturities will actually yield less to the investor than the later term maturities, and that's a result of there being more premium built into the pricing in the early bonds than is built in the later bonds. So you can see as of 2020, there's a significant amount of premium pricing going on where the price of those bonds is well above 100. And by 2039, the coupon is the exact same as the reoffering yield to the investor. That would imply that there's no premium built in to that maturity. And again, that's just a function of underwriters being able to market bonds easier. It's easier to sell a bond with a 5% coupon stamped on it than it is to sell a bond with a 2% coupon on it. And so investors tend to prefer premium pricing currently. The next few pages lay out the other bids received, and you can see, again, 13 bids and all within 10 basis points.
Yeah. Amazing.
Which implies incredibly competitive bidding. There's no what we would call bottom feeding going on with this transaction. All underwriters that placed a bid genuinely seem to want to win this purchase.
What did the highway building, what did that go for? I know those were really good pricing too. Do you remember what those were?
Commissioners, those were in the twos, but remember we broke the highway bond into
Two bonds, bank
bonds
qualified, so that's a different animal.
to get the bank qualification.
Yeah.
So we yield in the mid to upper twos.
2.67, 2.67-ish, 2.8.
Yeah.
So really in the market that we're in today,
Oh, man,
this is still.
This is
very
incredible.
good,
Yeah.
Very good. Moving on from the bid tabulation, the next page is the final sources and uses, and this just lays out par amount plus reoffering premium is the total sources. And you can see, most importantly, under uses, this issue is netting just over $47.5 million to the project construction fund. And the page following that is the final debt service schedule. And something worth noting here is the 15 basis points of difference from the revised pre-sale estimate to today's final debt service schedule translates to $81,000 annually in savings. So while 15 basis points doesn't seem like much, for a par amount of just over $45 million. It translates to real money, in this case, $81,000 annually in interest savings. And then the final piece of information included in this packet is the ratings report received from Standard & Poor's. Again, as part of the competitive sale process, the county obtained an updated rating from S&P, and you can see on the first page of this rating report, S&P affirmed the county's AA plus stable rating. And this is a function of the county's very strong economy, strong management and budgetary performance, very strong budgetary flexibility and liquidity, weak debt and contingent liability position, and strong institutional framework score. If you have any questions regarding the rating report, if you wanted me to go into more detail, I certainly could, or any questions regarding the sale day report, I'd be happy to answer those this time.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
No,
But,
it's,
I noticed that first payment will be required in June of 2019. Is that what I see here?
That's correct, and that's an interest-only payment, June 1st, 2019.
Now that we're just,
So about 3.2 for every year. Is that what we kind of figured in our budget schedule? 3.2 million for,
well, no, we were less. We were higher than 3.2.
we were way higher.
We were like 3.6, or when on our forecasting out for the debt service, wasn't we 3.6?
I think it was 3.6.
Yep. That's right, because I did the math. We were about 400,000, just looking on average drop. So that's actually pretty substantial.
good.
yeah.
And there were actually, prior to the revised pre-sale report, there was the original pre-sale report, which reflected a larger deposit to the project construction fund, and then as a function of the county receiving better bids for the construction, that was the par amount was reduced by about $4 million or so. And I did a quick calculation yesterday, and this compared to the original pre-sale report is a savings of about $300,000 annually. And so that's maybe where the 3.6 was coming from originally.
Good.
Chris, when we reissued the bonds for, what was it, for the
Jail?
When we
for the jail,
when we-
what was that interest rate? That
that's-
was even lower yet.
That's something that Bob and I chatted about just a few minutes ago. The duration of that issue was shorter, though. That didn't
Yeah.
go out 20 years. That was maybe around
10, I
14,
think.
was it 10?
I think it's 10.
12, I think it
12?
was.
I thought maybe
We
13.
can call it in 2027,
Okay.
but it matures in 2029, but we have a call date again.
Yep, okay.
So it was,
So as a function of a shorter duration, you're going to have, you're not as far out on the yield curve, so you're going to have lower rates. I want to say that was 2.12%.
Yeah, I thought it was
is
right
the number I
around
have in my
2%.
head.
Yeah, it was incredible. It dropped that considerably. I'm trying to think, what were we saving, 900,000 a year or
I
something?
thought
600.
600,000
$600,000 a year?
$600,000 a year.
for 10 years, so, yeah.
That's a lot.
a lot.
Good. Good, thank you for
That's all good news.
Yeah, your hard work.
giving us.
numbers.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
And Bob, I'm assuming we have to thank you for helping to make sure that we continue this
Great trend.
good Standard & Poor's rating.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I've got good staff. We got a good coordinator, so Wright County's in good shape. Chris mentioned you have the draft resolution in front of you. What Susan's going to do is keep track of who motioned, who seconded, who was here, who was absent. These are the things that Kennedy and Graven needs to finish drafting the final resolution, so
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of the bonds.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Vetch. Is there any other discussions? Resolution roll call vote.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Mr. Chair, maybe just one clarification about the number 47. Should be the new number 45. On the resolution is 47890. Correct?
And again, this was a draft resolution. They'll have to update the numbers. We had to put this into the packet prior to the sale, so that will be updated.
Mr. Chair, as a housekeeping thing, your signature twice. We get to keep one in.
Okay. Okay.
This way, Chris doesn't have to raise your hand.
What, has he got more important things to do than take care of us?
Item 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
much.
Chris.
Great news.
Board, I think the other item is the petition.
Yeah, for the credit card processing.
Yep.
Commissioner Betch and I,
Any recommendations? Okay.
Oh, we covered the first two items.
First two
One.
came
Right.
together. Okay, good.
Commissioner Betch and I met with the group yesterday regarding credit card processing. We had originally chosen to go with Paymentus. Paymentus isn't really able to service the county in the manner that we need to be serviced. So we're going with the other alternative is for, no,
Forte.
Forte.
Forte?
U.S. Bank, currently we're only using them for our property tax and.
Because we have to?
No,
But you'd like-
no, property tax we don't have to, but, for DMV, but we're working on trying to see if we can come up with some alternatives. But anyway, they don't have a contract yet, but I wanted to bring it forward to the board to let you know and to give them permission. It really has no cost to the county because the majority of it's going to be service fees. So I'd just like to have the board allow them to proceed with it so we don't end up having to hold it up another 2 weeks for a contract to come forward. I just like to, we've been waiting for credit card processing at the county forever. So I just want to move it forward.
How
So
long is the contract for, Mark?
Until we rescind it or get out of it.
Like, is there a minimum?
5 years.
5 years?
Right. So board, I want to add to it that we did build a BRD and we did solicit responses, Paymentus, Forte, and a company called Point and Pay. So through that, we do have a commitment from Forte as to what kind of rates that they'd be charging us. So as long as we're consistent with that, we're very comfortable now that they can deliver a service to us. The difference between when we proposed Paymentus and today is we thought that we'd bring in one credit card company for the whole county, which would include a lot of point of sale type of services. What we found out was the rate that we got from Paymentus, which is extremely advantageous to the county, was that we would have to do a lot more work for it and they couldn't really deliver that point of sale. For example, the point of sale would require us to obtain additional information when we have high volumes of people up there. So it's really not a good fit for the county. So now we're going to go with a point of sale company, but we're also going to retain Paymentus because we do have a contract with them, and where they are the best fit, we're going to use them. Where the best fit of U.S. Bank is, we're going to use them. But we're going to try to do as much with Forte as we can. They do have certain integrations built. They do tout that they have the ability to work with vendors to create integrations. For example, like Mark's Park Reservation, it's all blended in there so that it's a receipt of the payment post to the general ledger, and it's an expedited system. But
And, Mr. Chair, my only concern, and I have to put my faith in you guys that you did this, but Did we check with any other counties that are using these?
Yes, yes. Sherburne County's using Forte.
Okay, and they're happy with them?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is, Paymentus, you know, what were you used to when you go to a store and you put in your credit card with the chip?
Right.
Yep.
Paymentus had none of that stuff. And Paymentus wanted names and phone numbers, and
Well, I guess-
we just don't believe that that's conducive to doing business.
That's the old-fashioned way.
Well,
5 years is a long, I mean,
yeah,
long time.
but, you know, as a business owner, that's kind of what I have to do also, but there are ways of getting out of it.
Okay. All right, I'll try.
But I do want to put one note in there, so you guys, when you said there's no integration costs, there's one in STI and court services, but no matter who we'd use as a vendor, we'd have to use this third-party STI to integrate, no matter which processor we choose for court services, to be able to make any credit card system work within there. So there is one department that there will be some integration costs, but it would be uniform no matter who we choose.
And we're hoping that once whoever we work with to integrate that we'll be able to recoup some of our money from other counties.
Yep.
Because nobody has any integration at this point.
And I know the cost is passed on to the person that's using the card, but what kind of rate, is it vary on the amount, or is it a set fee straight across, or?
Yeah, we're looking at $250. We're looking at $235 for some of the transactions, $250 for the basic. But I also want to reiterate, where we have to, we're going to pass the fee on.
Where we're able to.
Right.
We may not.
Otherwise, we're absorbing the fee.
Yeah.
So again, that contract with Payment was all about negotiating the.
It's a set fee then, it's not a percentage.
It is a set fee, but there are minimum to the transactions.
Got it. So let's just say we end up using this for property tax and I pay $1,000 property tax, it would cost $2.50 to use the card?
Yeah, 2.25%.
2.25%.
Okay.
yeah.
That's what I was saying, it is a percent.
But if you use a debit card, then it's $3.95. I mean, it's, again, the county doesn't make any money on you using your credit card to pay your property taxes. That's paid to the provider. You pay them, they pay us.
Credit cards don't bounce either.
Right.
Checks bounce.
So what Commissioner DeLine asked you would be, to allow us to move forward, we'll negotiate the contract. I'll be cognizant of whether we're committing to 5 years or not. Again, I think it'd be pretty standard.
And board members, I want you to know that when going through this process, one thing that we really, Lindsay and Scott really wanted was somebody that they could really felt was going to be aggressive to help get this done. And Forte is that entity. They feel pretty optimistic that within 60 to 90 days that we could have credit cards up and running, which going from where we were before, that's, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Veg, absolutely. We're looking for that vendor who works with us and not that we work for them. So that's our shift.
And they were willing to roll it out a department at a time instead of Paymentus wanted to do the shotgun approach.
Yeah.
Which is going to be too difficult.
Yeah.
That would sound like Mylar's coming out.
Minlars?
Minlars.
Mylars or
Minlars?
Minlars, yeah, Minlars.
So again, board, I appreciate your patience. We tried to bring in a gold standard type of service. We negotiated an extremely great rate. Found out that it's hard to achieve a gold standard.
So what I would like is for the board to approve moving forward with it after the attorney's office has had an opportunity to vet the contract to move forward without having to bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair, I'll move. There you go.
I'll second that.
There you go.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, just as a point then, what we'd do is we'd put it on the consent agenda in a future board meeting. So you'd approve the contract.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
So much for your career choice if we make this a ongoing thing with the credit cards. You've been working real hard on this for a long time.
Now what are you going to do?
I'll find something.
He's going to go after EDMS next.
I'm up for re-election. People may not want me on here anymore, so who knows?
He can lay the gauntlet down.
Yeah, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
I think if you're bored, you could get in on that EDMS stuff, and I think Jamie'd be all about you.
Alrighty. Committee of the Whole minutes. Commissioner Potter, you were willing to accept this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole met on May 1st, 2018. Members present were the Board of Commissioners and the Coordinator Kelly. Others present, Dwayne Northagen and Wayne Elam from the Wright County Economic Development Partnership. The point of discussion was membership in greater MSP. And Kelly had noted Northagen had requested a board discussion regarding greater MSP membership when he attended the board a few weeks ago. And Burrell stated in the 2018 budget discussions decided to maintain the current contribution level for the Economic Development Partnership. However, the $10,000 in fund that was traditionally used for greater MSP would be given to the Economic Development Partnership, but no, the county would no longer be a member of greater MSP. And just a footnote for the rest of them, we did have some frustrations with what we were doing there, and that was part of that. But they delighted and asked about the value of the county has gotten at greater MSP, and Northagen discussed the examples how greater MSP assisted in development properties. I mean, they can't really wave the flag on some of the things they do behind the scenes, which is kind of tough for us to gauge.
Right.
Are we really getting value here? But they do have involvement. They do have input on a lot of different things going on. They work closely with DEED, and those are a couple departments that when the companies come in, those are the two. Basically, the first DEED is one of the first ones they go to find out what's available for them. And you know, the effort with that on 101 has brought a lot of tax dollars into the county. Some real good projects up there. In greater MSP, maybe to a minor degree, had help in getting those there. Maybe not the high profile. There's still values. The region as employees in the West Metro, you know, driving out here for cheaper housing. It's nice to get some businesses in this county of that size and magnitude. It'd be nicer to get more of them. Northagen acknowledged the county's decision last year's budget session, but explained the Economic Development Partnership Board of Directors discussed the membership, and I was at a couple of those 4 meetings to discuss this, and came to the consensus they wanted to retain the membership, and they were here asking the county to reconsider that because they see the long-term value, because we've been in a greater MSP since the beginning. And it'd be kind of nice to stay there, because otherwise all the money you've spent from 2009 up is kind of just threw it away because you really haven't seen it come to fruition or anything. And Commissioner Burrell said he didn't feel there's been a benefit of membership, which, and to a point, he has a point on that one, because it does, it's hard to see the tangible, put your hand on what they actually did, because we tend to look at that in our microcosm of the county board here. Business needs have not been developed by greater MSP, and part of it's on them and part of it's on us. You know, we have to sell ourselves better than we've been doing. And Elam reviewed the membership dues and noted that most of the dues come from the private sector, which is kind of nice on that, because I know when it started public-private, it was supposed to, Commissioner Swatsky said it'll hopefully go pretty much 90% or better private, and they've gone more private than public, which is nice, and the banks continue to put quite a bit of money into this, along with different development corporations out there that we have, and developers in the county here. And Commissioner Vetchsadi, the Wright County Board of Directors, the Economic Development Partnership Board of Directors, should determine how their funds are spent and the best run the partnership, and that goes back to what Northagen talked about. They had 4 meetings where we actually in-depth discussing what to do and if this good or not. And they didn't want to do what the Commissioner Burrell was worried about, is it would just pull the thing where, well, it's not the county dollars we're putting in, it's we're private dollars, and all you're doing is shifting funds. And didn't want to do that because that's not the transparency that they're looking for. And Commissioner Rich went on to decide if they decide they want to be in greater MSP membership, he'd support that decision. CUSUM supported maintaining membership, and any extra business brought to the county helps the tax base, it helps keep taxes low, which is good. And I support greater MSP membership, but I still have concerns that we don't have a seat at the table, board of directors. That's been, I was hoping that they'd actually have it for discussion at one of their board meetings that they haven't, and that was part of my frustration, because if we're paying the same amount in as like Minneapolis, which lowered their pay-in, then Minneapolis shouldn't have 5 seats at the table and we get 0. I mean, there's a sense of fairness here. And since all their board of directors are metro-centric and not one from Sherburne County, not one from Wright County, it's kind of hard to push us if we're not at the table of discussion there. But so that's been the bone of contention, and with Judy Johnson, their investor relationship, but I'll reiterate to her again that the frustration out here with that one is you want us to be members, you want us to be part of this, but you got to show us that you actually want us to be part of this and include us in more than just twice-a-year gatherings for different items like dinners and shows and that. And the recommendation came out of that is to allow Wright County Economic Development Partnership to determine how to allocate their funds. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Betch. Discussions?
Mr. Chair, I would just say, Commissioner Potter's, we don't see the tangible benefits, but I do see the tangible costs for like their board of directors. There was a big article in the paper about a year ago, Minneapolis Star-Tribune, where this guy is getting, I think, something right around $400,000 a year. And we have our taxpayers that are shelling out their hard-earned dollars and putting toward an organization that's, I feel, mismanaged in that respect. The other thing is, we have never gotten a lead from Greater MSP, and I've been on the board now going on 6 years, and it's been talked about and said, how long are we going to continue to keep putting county money? And it is county money. It's we give the money to the Economic Development Partnership, so I think we really should be able to have some control, and they can spend their money, I guess, however, too, but when it's taxpayers' money, I think we have a higher duty, and I don't know, I'm just waiting for the next Star-Tribune article to come out, and not only does he have this high salary, but he's got a big buyout now when he does retire. He gets about 5 years salary, so that'll be another close to $1 million either way. So, but I'm going to vote against the recommendation. It's not really voting against that recommendation. It's hard to say with their money, but it's not really their money. There's county money as well. So.
Mr. Chair,
Congrats.
I mean, we take the good with the bad. I really couldn't go with the route, Charlie, just to be micromanaging all of this would be a start of micromanaging. We take the good and the bad. Wright County Economic Development, I agree with 99.9%. This is that, or the 99%, this is that 1%, the one item in there. I personally don't really stomach it very well, but I'm not going to start using the purse on these small things like this to micromanage these organizations, because then basically from this boardroom here, we're going to be trying to control their boardroom, and I think it sets a dangerous road for us going ahead in relationships with a lot of organizations if they start watching us do that type of management. Like I said, I have my reservations with Greater MSP, but I think that's a beef that we have to take up with them if we want to get involved in try and lobby that one, because I don't think any of us in this room have really worked immensely hard to try and infiltrate that organization and to be involved. Instead, we're kind of working through county economic development to do that for us. They have different involvement than the county board per se directly.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner Burrell, Charlie, there was serious discussions at the board of directors on this, and I think a lot of them had it was reiterated your concerns on that, and I think a lot of them there kind of had raise their eyebrow on some of the stuff that came out as they go, boy, is this. Since then, they have changed a few things on how it's going on. Of course, beg forgiveness after the act, but it was not taken lightly, the concerns here. It was discussed in earnest and taken serious. So just to let you know that they didn't just say, oh, fine, we just go. They did discuss it, and they did see the merits in continuing to be a member of that organization.
And Mr. Chair, we give money to different entities that are not just county departments, et cetera. And if we started looking at, I mean, we could go down and all these different ones that we're supporting and try to say, oh, well, I don't like this aspect of it, I don't like that aspect of it. If we're giving them the money, we need to trust that they are making informed decisions, and that's what we have to do. So that's why I agree too. This isn't a very large amount of money. We're giving a lot more money to other entities, and we're not doing the same micromanagement. They know that we're watching this. So I think that that's important. And the fact that when Dwayne was here and said we had 4 meetings that we discussed this at length, and that's what they determined. They determined that that $10,000 was of value. And we are seeing that in the 101 corridor when we're getting these large commercial businesses in there. That is going to help the tax base of this county. And if it's exactly, can we point and say they brought that in? Maybe not exactly, but that's certainly part, they had a part. So.
And Mr. Chair, if we're saying we give our money away, give our taxpayers' money away to people and just trust whoever is doing it, well, apparently the city of Minneapolis and the city of St. Paul must feel a little differently because they've cut one of them, I think, actually pulled out. Now they're back in at a very small contribution. I think they give Minneapolis gives about the same amount we do make right now.
Ramsey County pulled out and pulled back in at the same amount they've before. Minneapolis is the one that they hired an economic development coordinator to help them out.
But I guess my point is, that's the only, we can't go in and make a vote for them, I got that, but we do have the power of the purse. And I think at some point, we do have to hold people accountable for a decision to be in an organization like this. And my thing is, if it was working, it would be different. We have not gotten any lead from them, and I don't think we ever will. That's my point. I think it's a good old boys club, and I don't think we should be spending taxpayers' money. And I'm going to be on the losing end of this vote, and I know that. So I'll let it go.
All right, any other discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes and the recommendation, is that how we want to do this, Lee?
I think that was the motion, yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay. Item B. So who's going to the White House for a conference and a tour?
And there's a NACO conference as well on it the day before.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, yeah, we haven't talked about, I talked about this with Derek, but I was pretty excited when we got this email that we had an invitation to a White House briefing. The White House has been coordinating these meetings state by state for the past year, and that's the first we heard about it. But the Minnesota County Commissioners White House Conference and White House Residence Tour on May 31st, 2018. The tour will be at 9:30, the conference at 10:30, and it's to develop a working relationship between the White House and county commissioners from the state of Minnesota. We did get an email then from the Association of Minnesota Counties saying that this was not coordinated through the AMC or for NACO. However, NACO is going to have a briefing at their Washington, D.C. office evening before on May 30th. And they, need us to respond by the 25th. I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's the first time in the 5.5 years we've been on the board that we've been invited to anything like this. And I don't know, and I'd like to open it up for discussion, but I think...
Well, from an invitation at this level to have to represent the county is important, and I think it's NACO, we've had membership for a long time, and we've never, other than Mark's trip, the one time, we haven't really done anything to realize to even go down.
Oh, Potter goes through.
Isn't that through the transportation? Isn't that through NACO?
No, that's the Transportation Alliance.
Transportation Alliance is
Okay.
what that one is.
Yeah.
You know, and it's too bad the timing, if it was the week before, I'd already be in DC.
I don't think that that should stop your, or influence your decision. I mean, maybe it would influence your schedule, but I don't think that this is an opportunity, I believe, for all of us should have the same opportunity, whether you've been in Washington the week before or not, so.
Yeah, because.
And, I mean, our coordinator, I think, or his representative.
Is this part of your book tour, then? You can kind of take a detour to DC?
You never know.
Well, as you're thinking about this, just so you're aware of, that we do have a committee of the whole tentatively, or did we approve that for June 1st?
The June 1st committee of the whole is on the books,
Yeah. And
10:30.
we would be back.
29th to 31st, we're going Tuesday to
Yeah,
Thursday.
Just looking at the practicality of it and arranging schedules, if, you know, we left in the afternoon of May 29th, be a kind of a nice way to celebrate my birthday, and then come back after the meeting, so like the evening of the 31st, so, and I know Derek has an important event on the 1st, so he needs to be
My
back.
daughter graduates high school.
Wouldn't it make sense, so maybe just to reschedule the June 1st? If we're gonna authorize attendance at this, maybe just reschedule the June 1st one, so you don't have to, because if you miss a flight, or, you know, you might get a better airfare, you know.
Well, we have to move the 29th because to be able to make it there in the timing fashion, we were looking at having to fly out of the 12:55 flight on the.
There's a, right, so,
Oh, you checked flights already?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say that we need to change the committee of the whole meeting, the 11 o'clock meeting on the 29th. And we also need to change committee day on the 30th.
Well, we could still hold the IT committee if those that aren't going want to do that and cover those. The CIP one, I would like to reschedule, just because I've taken it this far and want to kind of see it out to bring back so I can explain where we got the numbers with it when it comes to the full board for approval.
And the other thing would be, we'll have a personnel committee meeting that day, so.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess that is a discussion. I think we've covered all the meetings I'm aware of on the 29th and 30th. I guess the discussion is if you want to reschedule all of them or some of them.
Well, the 29th, we probably could
20
reschedule. The 30th, I see no reason why not. If there's enough people around here to continue with the committee meetings.
Minus the CIP.
Minus the CIP.
Okay.
I don't want to keep postponing
Move something, right. You could always move something to June 4th if you needed to.
But the June 1st one, I would prefer to keep because we've already had an issue with trying to
I agree with that.
I agree with that as well.
coordinate that.
June 1st, I'd like to keep
And
too.
we need to get that hammered out here. And I know, I have a feeling that it's going to take more than one meeting,
So,
is my guess.
I agree. I don't think there's,
So it just sounds like there's just two of you going?
I don't know. We haven't talked.
We talked. Charlie, you interested in joining us?
I probably won't. It's just, I don't know what my schedule's gonna be like as far as putting seed in the ground, so I don't wanna.
I know I won't be
You
going.
won't go?
No, I have a wedding on the 16th. I have too many things going on.
But whoever does go, I'm gonna give you a bunch of talking points, so.
Yeah. That's why I
Absolutely.
figured go out there, you'd straighten everything out, Charlie.
Yeah, have them talk common sense maybe. See if they can figure that one out.
Well, I don't know, they're doing pretty good on that end of it.
So with that, we have these in
Mike?
separate motions.
So the county would be paying for their plane tickets and hotels and everything?
There's no cost for the conference?
Conference, both of them are free. Both the conference are free. Basically, we had a cost of about $700 a person. $750. basically
For the flight and two nights.
Yep, so.
Flight and 2 nights
Yep.
and transportation down there?
You and Derek?
Transportation.
Oh,
How are you gonna get around from the airport to
I was
the?
planning on
They
covering
got a
that
train
myself.
from the airport to wherever you want, and they got buses and.
We were gonna, anything outside of the hotel and airfare, I was gonna plan on covering myself, so we were looking at a total of about $750, depends on.
Uber.
It's
was
fluid,
getting
it's
expensive
fluid,
out there.
airfare changes by the minute.
Yeah, true.
Okay, any other comments? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to allow them to,
Well, can we just authorize attendance in case
Somebody
well,
changes.
you guys,
so or authorize attendance to anybody that were to the board and coordinator?
coordinator, I would include
Or if he wants to
Or
send
his-
it, or his, whatever, if you want to attend.
coordinator, assistant,
Coordinator?
a coordinator, whether they can or can't, but at least that's covered then.
All right, so that's motion? All right, then I'll second that.
Who made the motion?
Christine? I'm assuming that you went through it all verbally, or no, you didn't make the motion? Oh, okay, I'll make a motion then, to those effects.
I don't think I did.
I knew you were reading all through, so I thought you were clarifying it as a motion.
Putting words in your
Yeah.
mouth, how dare you?
I'll second that.
Okay. It goes the same way, vice versa.
So a motion by Commissioner Batch, second by Commissioner Hewsome to allow attendance to the White House Tour and Conference on May 31st. Is there any other discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Now, we want to, so the May 29th meeting, we want to just come back with that next week with a new date? Or do you want to schedule it right now?
Looking at calendars, you're probably into the second week of June, unless you would like to meet without me in attendance, which I don't know if that's beneficial given the topic of discussion, but just thought I'd throw
Depends,
that
'cause
out there.
just to refresh everybody, we are going through that job description for administrator,
Yep.
and line by line, in determining what tasks. So he wouldn't, depends if you want his input from it on the first time around or not, you know? Or do you want to draft it out and then come back with him and get his input on a different meeting? I don't know.
Is that something we can do after our committee of the whole, the Furniture and Justice Center? Is that putting too much on your day?
That is something I would like to raise. It would be nice to have the CIP committee as soon as possible also. I don't really want to fill up that entire Friday, however, I would like to offer that Friday as a potential for meetings.
I would like to do CIP on that Friday, the 1st would be nice. So if we could either do it at 9 o'clock that day, or if you want to do it after I don't know how long the court's meeting, if you want to do it at 1 o'clock, we could do it at 1 o'clock too that day.
Both would be options.
You want to, I guess it's up to, yeah,
So let's go back to the first one
Okay.
on that Tuesday. June 14th, is that the date? Is that what you were saying?
well, we could do June 1st at 1 o'clock and do the administrator one.
Yep.
Could.
Or even if you do CIP at 9, then we could do
Do the,
administrator at 1.
one, we could do it all in one day if you want to just get it all taken care of one day, but others, if you want to move one of them to the 14th, we can do that too.
I'd rather have it the 14th. I'd like to give us a little more flexibility on the first.
That's fine, because
I mean, you know, they'll be jet lagged by a couple commissioners probably.
The 14th, we have the soil water tour from 9 to 1.
And I also have Public Works. So are you,
Oh, was that a Tuesday?
no, it's a Thursday.
No,
Oh, I meant the
I
Tuesday,
had just
the
made the
12th, you're
comment.
talking?
the 12th then.
12th would be an option.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12th
June
would be
12th would be good.
Because you said the first week wouldn't work for you.
Correct.
So June 12th, we'll do the committee of the whole for the administrator.
What time?
11 o'clock?
Okay.
And then the first, we're talking, let's see, we have the 10:30, 11:30 for the court's furniture. So you want to do the CIP at 9:30?
I can do 9:30.
On which day again?
Yep,
On
CIP
the
at
first.
And that's just for the CIP committee,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
committee of the whole.
Yep.
CIP 9:30 on June 1st.
Does that, you think that will work?
Yes, I
Okay.
talked with Sue earlier today. That should be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And the reason I'm thinking the morning would be better is if your daughter graduates that night, your wife is gonna have a list for you to do.
Yeah.
To make sure everything is ready.
Long list.
See, look at that, you're the best, Mark. You're watching out for my,
That's right.
troubles at home as well.
Yeah, well, I've been married long enough, so I understand.
So, Mr. Chair, for the committee, Personnel Committee on the 30th, then would you have then Commissioner Burrell or
I can't.
Commissioner Potter sit in for me?
I would think so.
Yeah.
To who's ever available.
No, because they're really, it might get canceled. 'cause there's really
Just
not
say
much
no to
sense
everything
at this point.
If that works.
And, is there, well, we have no idea what's all gonna be on the 30th yet.
All I'm aware of at this time is a Personnel Committee, talked about capital improvement. There's no Ways and Means items. There's no building that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But would have to come on next week's agenda, if
Okay.
anything.
Well, I would suggest, regarding, since Commissioner Potter had already attended, technology one, it probably wouldn't hurt for Commissioner Burrell to attend one also, to see what we've been handling and dealing with lately.
On which one now?
On the 30th, you'll go to the IT.
So the 30th, so then you would probably work with me in the Personnel Committee and then also on the technology, if that's all right with Commissioner Potter.
Well, I think this is perfect for us to get a handle on what's going on there, because that's interesting, is I'll get up all the things that are moving parts that are there, and when you guys come back to us, if we have that basic understanding what is actually being done there, it's easy to follow along.
Yep.
And then the next time, I will willingly give up my,
Oh, so Christine can
for
get to
Christine
see.
can get a chance to have an opportunity to deal with the
be overwhelmed.
technology.
It is kind of, but they're good about explaining that they're,
Oh, yeah.
you know, sometimes IT people, like lawyers, talk in a different language than the rest of us speak, but
Okay, so, we don't have a motion for changing those. Do we need a motion for changing those dates?
We should
need a-
set
I'll make a motion to, for changing the attendance for the committee meetings, changing the CIP committee date to the 1st and the committee of the whole to June 12th.
second.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Potter. Does everybody have all those dates straight?
Luckily, Susan's wonderful and will probably.
Yeah, Susan will email all of us just to make sure. I think probably wouldn't hurt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Does anybody have any discussions regarding it? Sorry. Too late. Justice Center Owners Committee schedule and change order approval limit.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I wanted to bring this item back to your attention. As you know, we accepted the bond. We have groundbreaking scheduled, so I thought it would be timely to revisit the committee for the owners for this project and get some input on when you would like to receive updates, how frequently, and then also talk about the change order authorization limit. We've set that on previous projects, and I wanted to get the board's feeling for that. So we can take those individually. Currently, the committee on record has been Burrell and Potter with the Leiden as an alternate. I don't know if we want to continue that forward on this project or if someone would like to come on or off the group. I wanted to make sure we verified that today.
Who was the alternate?
You.
Mark Leiden.
Okay.
The biggest thing is I wanted almost, do we put like two limits? A limit for the building committee to decide and then another limit that would go to a committee of the whole? Or do we just let the building committee decide if that's a bigger change order that we want to bring to the committee of the whole?
Yeah, so that's why we just set the limit.
Yeah, that's,
$5, or $10, whatever we decide, or if we say, no change orders at all for judges' bathrooms, and then a limit of $15,000 for everything else, and I don't remember what we did with the highway anymore. the
Well,
limits.
with highway, staff proposed 20,000. We ended up setting it at 5,000 for an individual staff member, and then I believe it was 10,000 for the committee. Anything else above that had to get to a committee of the whole.
What about an accrued total? That's the thing, or if we can get like, if I get 15, 25, $10,000 things, I really want, at a certain point, if it's, I'd like to have an accrued total too.
Right.
That one, Mr. Chair, that one creates a problem because you don't know what you're going to encounter. We've made the point real clear with Pete Philippi, Integrity Group and that this is going to be very limited. We've covered a lot of bases and we don't want change order after change order. And I don't recall the exact amount of change orders we did in the highway building, but some of them had to do with building codes when you were putting the parapet and different things. Building codes had changed. Those are things out of our control, so it's tough to put limits on that. I don't see that same thing here because you're having, it's all one level roof. You don't have two different levels messing with it. And we've been beating this one pretty hard on to make sure that we have not got the change orders going crazy on this, because I think what we did before, we talked about 20, then we went down to 5 individual, 10 there, and I have no problem with it. Anything higher than that's got to come back to committee to whole, because and when we make our reports, update our reports on what phases and what's going through, I think it's pertinent for us every once in a while to bring it to a committee of the whole or in front of the board, let us know where we're at a certain juncture here.
I mean, I'm just thinking if we got an accrued total of over $100,000, I'd like to know why we're getting all these little small dollar amounts. That's
no, and I agree. And I would think, if I remember correctly, we would get minutes of the committee of the owners committee.
Yep.
Yes.
Which would show the reason why we had a change order and the amount. So we would have that list, so
Right.
you can actually do your own total if you want.
Fine, so then we can basically call it at any time that, hey, I want to.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't remember, did we get those once a month? Or were they
Remember.
every 2 weeks?
They're
So,
monthly
Mr.
for a
Chair,
while.
what we did on the last one was we had a monthly meeting. And again, the intent of having change order limits set is things come up, and sometimes it's a case where, the hole's open and we need to make
Yeah.
a decision today to
Yeah.
get this done. We can't wait for a week to call a committee or, to get something figured out in the next 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
that's why staff has always asked for an authorization limit.
So should we stick with the 5 and the 10 again?
I
It
guess
was more than 5.
5 and 10, which,
I just read back on the minutes. We set it at 5 at the individual in the past. It was actually 20,000 for the committee.
Yeah.
20, yeah.
I do have a concern that this is maybe a little more complex building than the
And a highway
highway was.
Absolutely.
I guess I would advocate if we could increase the individual up to 10,000 and then have 20,000 at the committee level.
Yeah.
And again, we did those owners committee meetings once a month. Those minutes always came back to the full board for approval.
That was all just once a month, that's all you had
I
to
think-
do?
As I recall,
At the beginning of it.
early on, I think we
Yeah.
did them
I think
twice
it
a
was
month or
more
more,
often. That's
as
what I
things
was
kind of were
thinking.
developing.
I thought,
So, and we'll let that up to that building, or to that committee, owners committee. So, the suggestion is that we do 10,000, up to 10,000,
Correct.
for the coordinator and for the administration's office, and up to 20,000 for the committee, owners committee.
all right.
I would make that motion.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Commissioner Hewson, second by Commissioner Potter. Any other discussions?
So in this process, then we will get together and get like an update like 2 or 3 times, or like at least like,
Whenever
halfway
you-
through as a committee, the whole.
Whenever you want.
Whenever
Yep.
you want, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we've kind of scheduled those as needed at kind of major milestones.
Yep, and there will be times when something comes up
Yeah.
that
They feel they can't make that decision.
the owners committee will say, we need to bring this to the whole
It's
board.
like we've always, when things get to the point where it's beyond just 2 commissioners, we want to make sure everybody's involved.
Yep.
If it's a matter of which tree to plant, that's one thing, but if something major comes up, some anomaly in there, or change of codes, or something major, we need to keep you on board, what's going on.
Then I vote for palm trees.
Casey Ramirez has
Why
got
not
one.
banana trees?
Well, that would work
Then we could
too.
get some fruit out of it.
All right, any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Committee of the Whole regarding the BKV proposal for design services.
I'll just back you up for a second there. If it's okay, we'll schedule those owners committee meetings as it works with BKV's schedule. They're planning a weekly Thursday on-site every other week. So rather than setting maybe a set first Thursday,
Yeah, no, well,
if
yeah,
that works, I'll just
Work
bring
with
them to
them
the
and
board
we'll
and schedule
make-
it. Okay,
yeah.
good, thank you.
No, that makes sense. No reason to have a meeting when they're not there.
Right, it saves trips, mileage, et cetera, so.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, moving on to the item, the BKV proposal for design services. Staff distributed that proposal that was received last week to you. Looking to set a committee meeting to review that as a committee of the whole.
And what are we looking for? What,
Mr.
June?
Chair, are they going to be on site on the 15th then, the groundbreaking or not?
I believe so. I don't know if the full team will be, but some of the team I'm anticipating will be.
Would that be appropriate to set it after the groundbreaking, or you had,
I won't be able, I'll be gone the afternoon that day.
Or after the board meeting. We don't have anything else scheduled after the board meeting, do we?
Well, we're doing
yeah, the groundbreaking?
groundbreaking.
is-
Yeah, but that's at 1 o'clock?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Oh, okay.
I'm leaving right from the groundbreaking to Glencoe, so,
Mhm.
but, I mean, depends how many I'd like to be a part of it, but
Is it the pedicure again?
always. When else is BKV around?
I've kind of thought of just scheduling it and working around their schedule. Usually they're relatively flexible if we give them a sufficient amount of lead time.
Maybe, Mr. Chair, why don't we do that, Lee? Just come back with some dates that work for them and then,
I mean, otherwise, I don't know, you guys, how's Wednesday the 16th looking? We don't have committees that day,
but if we're making them come out special just for that
Got that
meeting.
afternoon or not?
that's, Tuesdays are WCAT. WCAT is the, 15th.
You're on the radio on the 16th.
I'm on the radio on the 16th, but we can meet at any time.
Well, again, I think we'll just wait and see what they come up with. I don't want to make I don't want them to make a special trip, especially since they will be coming out, every couple of weeks once the court starts out there. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunity to work something in here in the future. It's not like something we have to do this right now.
It's not urgent.
That's true, just trying to keep some momentum so we don't lose sight of that proposal.
Yep.
I didn't know if you had any questions or any follow-up information you'd like me to get regarding that proposal, or...
That 1.6 was not part of the 37.2, with the way I read it, correct?
Correct, that
Okay.
would just be the construction cost. The
Yep.
1.6 is
And
their
that does not
proposed
include
design fee.
FF&E.
Also correct.
Okay. That's,
Jamie, you had something?
I was just wondering if I could get a copy of the proposal.
No?
Sure.
It's secret.
Short answer or the long answer?
I know, because she didn't get to see that, dude. That was an aggressive schedule on that.
Yeah, I just read about it from Commissioner Bench at the foster care day clip last night. This was, so I'd like to see it if I could. That'd be great.
Do we have any extra copies?
I think we do, otherwise I'll give her mine.
I mean, I can just get it by, I'm
Okay.
assuming it's an attachment.
It was a
It was a
They don't
binded
own right
book.
now, but
I don't
Sure,
think we
I can
got
get
it. I don't
Be
think
an
we got
issue.
an email.
I don't think
No, it was
got
all a
paper.
binded book, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe they can email it to you and you can
yeah,
just forward
I'll
it.
send it over. We'll take
Yeah.
care of it. Not a problem at all.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll just come back with that next week and we'll talk to BKV and throw some dates together. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think we'll have time, maybe look at that week following the week of the 14th sometime, maybe in there if that
That'd be
works.
something
So,
that
All right.
we just go to. If we authorize
Now we're up to
attendance, 'cause
advisory.
we're not paid for it, and it's just-
What did you want? Attendance to what? The owners committees?
For Law Day, I was saying, I was wondering if we authorized attendance for that next Friday.
I don't, I don't think we have in the past.
No, I think that's just something we might go to if we want to.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
This question, I guess because we don't present or talk it at that, so no.
No.
It's just the same as the sheriff's open house, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty. Advisory committee, advisory board updates. Commissioner Burrell?
No.
Commissioner Houston?
Well, I went to the last Buffalo Safe Schools meeting of the school year, so that was, seemed like, I can't believe it came that fast. So it was, we had a lot of nice discussions, and a few things that came up are the Central Minnesota Mental Health passed a flyer around, and they are having on Wednesday, May 16th, a mental health open house in Buffalo here, 308 12th Avenue South. They're going to have different sessions and common issues in chemical dependency recovery, medication education basics, positive behavior toolbox for school-age children. So if anyone's interested in that. Also, I went to, and Commissioner Vetch went to the foster care dinner last Thursday, the 3rd, and it was, nice discussions with people who are doing both child foster care and adult foster care, and a lot of them have been at it for a long time, and one I talked to is moving toward adoption of their foster kids, so there's some really great servants we have in the communities that are helping with our children and our adults who need care. I'll just make another announcement. The Buffalo has been doing the community book read, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, and they are having a kind of a community conversation about it on the 16th also of May at 7 p.m. at the Buffalo Performing Arts Center. And they're going to have free ice cream provided by the Scoop as a dessert. And the Buffalo area dementia friends that had their sweet moments in the making, their little stories and highlights and some videos, and guest speaker was Carla Heater. They had to postpone it from April 15th when we had that snowstorm. So the new date is Wednesday, May 30th at 6:30 at Zion Lutheran Church in Buffalo. The last thing is the Wright County Sheriff's Office is going to have their open house on Friday, June 8th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. There'll be tours, snacks, canine demos, Sheriff's Office, vehicles, and so that's always a fun event for people. But
I'd also heard that they were going to arrest one of the commissioners, put him in jail, and see how long it takes him to get out.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said him. I know it's not me then.
Oh, yeah, okay. Darn it.
That's it.
All right. Last week, we had a meeting at the Bertram Lakes. We haven't had an update on the drawing yet for the campgrounds. There was one of the people that was doing it, some mother is sick, and so there was some concerns there. Other than that, I don't think we discussed a whole lot.
Those, they have those grant money that we're getting those, basically like national park grade
Oh,
signs.
yes, that's right, that's right. There's some beautiful signs that are going to be coming.
Educational informational signs
Yep.
that basically, they'll be like national park grade because of this grant that we had that's paying for them there.
Yep, and then this was done by somebody that was working on their masters from the University of Minnesota. So we got the design free and we're getting the signs free.
Wow.
So it was,
Nice.
yeah, they're really, really nice. Yeah, they're museum quality, I think, was the
That's
term
what,
he used.
museum quality, that's what it
Museum
is,
quality,
yeah.
which is used in the national parks and the museum. Engraved, just
Yeah.
put them up, and as long as, I think his biggest concern was Mark's biggest concern was that the hoodlums from Monticello would paint him. I think
Yep,
that's what his concerns were.
Because it's too nice to.
And he just strictly focused on Monticello. I'm not sure
I don't know why. Monticello kids are good kids.
And then just a reminder, I think Commissioner Burrell already stated it, Law Day is on Friday this week, and Mother's Day is on Sunday. So don't forget your mothers, for those of you that still have those available to you.
All right, so last week I was with Mark at the Bertram Advisory meeting. Then after that, I shuttled down to St. Paul for a very, very good meeting. Luckily, Bob Meyer, the Assistant Commissioner to the DNR, gave us what we needed to do our work on County Ditch 36. Now we have to wait because because this process took so long that we're on the bottom of a long list of other people's projects. So hopefully within 3 to 4 weeks we'll be able to get that road unobstructed by water.
And he told you, he gave you permission at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was in the evening that he gave us permission to do it.
After a meeting was all scheduled and everything.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. So we went down there, but it was thank you to Representative O'Neill, who was an amazing asset in being able to get all the parties to the table to get this achieved. I can't thank her enough. She sat down with us as a group twice to get this all accomplished, and that was very, very amazing for her to get everybody to the table to make that happen. So
Great.
With that, I was at the foster care banquet with Christine, which was also a very wonderful evening, but that's all I have.
Mr. Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, as I had my phone at the board last week, very rare for me, not rare for other ones down here.
I did it for my calendar. Just so you know, that's not that.
Virgil give us an update on the corridors of commerce in which we were successful in getting $56 million.
No, is that for 2020?
2020. And the other one was Elk River 169, that's 2022, because that's going to take a little longer to get that one going.
That's going to be a challenge, but that will be really nice.
That's like a $150 million project, isn't it?
$154 million.
Yeah.
Because it's going to eliminate the stoplights through town there, that's.
Is it going to all go all the way past
190th,
Menards?
Yeah, Menards, the Harley, Menards up to 197.
So all the way through there, so that's 3, 4?
It's like 5. I thought it was 5 stoplights they're eliminating. But that's for them, happy for them. The backlash came from immediate response that all 4 projects were within 40 miles of the metro.
Yeah, I seen that.
And so Dave Schmigleski from Granite Falls, who's the president of the Greater Minnesota Coalition of Cities, demanded, to throw them all out and start over. Last Thursday, I was down at the Capitol and I got to talk with Chair Torkelson on this, and I let him vent because he was a little frustrated with, regional balance wasn't, all projects within here. But in all fairness to MnDOT, they did follow the rules scripted by the legislature, and the highest ranking pointed scorers got in. One of the challenges here is, your 14, 23 coalitions and all those are frustrated that they didn't get any, but when you require a scoring mechanism based on return on investment, everything else, places like that are never going to be much more than bridesmaids on these tickets. One thing that I believe that they're going to work on is because there are so many solicitations, 170 some were duplicates and some were not supporting documents, but they have a list of those that they did, and then the next one's down, the next one's in line, and I believe which way they're going to go is hold that list, and the next solicitation for corridors of commerce, just keep working down that list. That should alleviate some of this problem. Other things on Highway 14 Coalition, the project that was ranked the highest was not the one that they wanted first. From Owatonna to Dodge Center was the highest ranking one for them, but they wanted one closer to Mankato. It didn't rank, it didn't even get in the top 5, so that's problematic. So they're probably going to go legislative next year. 55 Coalition, we didn't submit a project for the corridors of commerce because we weren't quite ready because Hennepin County hadn't got all their environmentals. They were getting them done, but they weren't all signed off yet. And I talked with Representative Hertaz and Senator Osmond on it, and we're going to start with next year, going to the hearing process for 2020 funding on that, and just do legislative bonding appropriation versus trying to do quarters of commerce, because I don't think 55 is going to score that high because of some of the criteria they got out there on the quarters of commerce, and they might change that criteria, but you never know. But and I think Representative Chair Torkelson was happy that he was allowed to let all his frustrations off his chest on somebody other than other legislators, and other ones in our area were the high-fiving and happy, and other ones were saying, I'm taking grief from everybody else. Well, you know, the system's the system.
Well, you know, one of the things regarding that to the outstates, if you can't get to the outstate because it's all bundled up, trying to get out of the cities or back into the cities, who's going to want to go to those outstate areas?
Correct.
So there is some advantages to getting these problems solved out here.
And part of it with the legislature, when they're trying to dial this in so tight, personal opinion here, that I think they kind of handcuffed MnDOT to make them follow the criteria to a T, and with the way they did it, the unintended consequence is only the metro and around the metro collar counties like us are going to score high enough to get that, to fill all the factors in there. So we're gonna wait and see what's going on there. Also, we've been working on the election equipment, and we're having a hard time in the Senate. Senator Kiffmeyer just is not going to let us get a hearing on this. We counties just want the option. And former Commissioner Swatsky's been working with us and trying to get give us the option of the equipment. Trying to get Senator Bruce Anderson to have a demonstration for him with the AutoMark and the ES&S like I did back here, so he can see firsthand. And between him and maybe Gazelka, the chair, who doesn't want to step on Kiffmeyer's toes but is intrigued by the possibility of modern technology, we're going to dance a little lightly around this, try to give us an option, because we don't want to spend, you know, $6,500, $6,700 on old technology when the new one's here and it'll do much better.
And people will want to use it.
Right, and they'll use it, you know, so it's working on that. Also, yesterday I was on for Transportation Alliance Executive Committee, and then I attended the state, the House Tax Committee hearing on the sales tax, the auto part sales tax, again there. And Chair Torkelson did a good job on explaining it again, because it went out of the Transportation Committee and also the Tax Committee, and it forwards on to, you know, it seems like it bounces from committee to committee, but it's still alive in the House. I can't say is optimistic in the Senate, because between Senator Bach and Senator Gazelka, they have an ongoing disagreement, for lack of a better word, on how last year's conference committee turned out, because Bach demanded some things and held up the whole committee until he got his ice arena up there. And I think that's left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth he called it an armory, but it was an ice arena. So you're not going to have any Democrats vote for this, even though the labor unions are insisting that this is a good thing. So there'll be a challenge there, and we have a couple Republicans that are against it. So if you lose even one Republican, it's all over. And then the other possibility is if Fischbach is the tying vote, then there'll be another challenge in court that she shouldn't be able to do that. I'm not optimistic that that's going to actually get on the referendum. There was talk that referendums, when the party in control does them, they lose the House and lose the Senate. History in the blue book that they put out shows that's not the case, but they try to do the mantra. Also, the thing that'll take money away from the children's education, which it turns out to be 0.3% of the budget, and I don't think that's the case here, but that's Minnesota education, whatever that, they've been spending a lot of capital on killing this. So more to come on that. And with the election equipment, just hopefully we can move forward. This morning it was with met with Brian Asselson and Bob Hebla about the Lake Charlotte, Lake Martha sewer subordinate district that the county entered into with the city of St. Michael. In 2020, there'll be a shortage of money coming in. There's still $670,000 owed on that bond, and we just need to freshen up to make sure by the time 2020 rolls around that we aren't writing a check here, that we have a mechanism to keep it going. Talked to St. Michael on this a few times, and they just said, that's your problem, you deal with it, come back with a solution, which they are correct. So we are working on this and updating the list of who's there, what's going on, and because we were authorized 190 hookups. I think we have 170 right now, and it could go up to 235 hookups if it gets permission. And there is some development action going on out there, so maybe this is the perfect opportunity to fix that. I think when they did it before, they were doing it to fix the immediate problem of Lake Charlotte and Martha, and just didn't think 10, 15 years down the line, what ifs. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Before we go to the coordinator, you brought up something that, and I think the last when I seen from the AMC is that there is not a companion house yet in the Senate regarding reimbursements to Wright and Becker County regarding the lawsuit that the auditor's office brought. So I would urge you guys to email Senator Anderson and Senator Kiffmeyer to ask them to bring a companion bill so that we can get reimbursed for something that we're still trying to figure out how we ever got involved in the first place, because it doesn't make any sense.
The other one is Senator Newman.
Senator Newman?
Because he's the other one you want to contact on this. Met with Matt Hilgard again, besides everything else down there since I was in the neighborhood, and working on getting that companion there. He thinks he's getting some traction because I think the rest of them are, now that it's settled, now they can discuss it. And we're not talking major dollar amounts, but it's you know, it's the principle.
Yeah, it is.
It's a hit for us and for Becker County.
So, but anyway, that's why I would strongly urge you to email those, our senators.
And I believe it's the senator from up in Becker County that Matt's been working on to do the legislation, because he has, the commissioners up there, you know, that's, for us, it's still a lot of money. For them, it's a lot of
really
money.
A lot.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's who's going to be the sponsor of the bill and try to get Anderson or somebody down there.
Well, you know, and that's the thing, you know, and they should be backing up the county, I would hope, anyway. So, anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I hope I didn't steal your thunder, County Coordinator. So what do you got for us?
I got a few topics that haven't already been covered. Just kind of an FYI, last week we had our leadership meeting, and we had Ann Antonson from Springstead out. We had quite a long meeting, actually. It was pretty open forum of question and answer about the process of our class and comp study, and the department heads were able to ask her questions. I think it went very well. It was well received. We do kick off that study next week. We have over 3 days. We have 7 sessions for employees to attend. We would like every employee to attend to ask any questions they may have about the process. Those are scheduled at 4 different buildings, different times of the day, so hopefully you can make one of those, and if you can't, we're going to have one of them videotaped, so that'll also be available.
Oh, great. Regarding that, when the study was done 6 years ago, was that type of procedure also followed? Did they have the open meetings, as many, and?
We did have the meetings at, I think, 3 of the buildings over a couple days, but we did not have the department head kind of Q&A that we had at leadership, so that is a little different.
So we are proceeding with a more open.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
That's, just wanted to make sure that we're hoping that this is going to
And
go a
again,
lot smoother than last
That was
one.
our goal.
encourage people to attend. You can always lead a horse to water.
Yep, no, we're giving them the opportunities, and we're making plenty of opportunities for them.
Right, yeah, there's a nice schedule.
And the point was made at leadership by one of the department heads. I thought it was a good observation that, you know, maybe the initiative needs to be framed at the sense that we are in compliance with pay equity. We just recognize that we need to look at this, and it's been the board's initiative to do this. But we feel that we need to remain competitive in the marketplace. So again, the kickoff will be next week. Hopefully everybody attends. The second item I wanted to share with you, I got correspondence from Steve Taylor, Sherburne County this morning. The board is cordially invited to their expansion groundbreaking and ribbon cutting for their new facility, or their expansion of their facility. That's June 6th, 3 p.m.
June what?
June 6th at 3 p.m. I'll leave this in the back room for you.
And that's that's when their open house kind of is then? Because it's all
Correct.
done, right?
What's that?
It's all done.
They're wrapping it up right now, so it'll be on the 6th in the afternoon, and it appears they're going to have quite a few presentations and speakers and a ribbon cutting ceremony. And then from 3:30 to 6, they're going to have tours of the facility, so everyone is certainly welcome, but I wanted to make sure the invitation got passed on to the board today, so and that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All righty.
All right.
Any other discussions?
Nope.
Questions, concerns, ideas, common sense things? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 10:31.